It's time to pull shards. Hopefully Polarium isn't Tholin me. Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We are having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here on my main account because we have a glowing portal, we have a fusion going on, we have a summon rush going on, and I have some shards that I would love to pull. Now, we do have the new event here, and unfortunately it is a little rougher than I was expecting by 1 shard each, but again, I have plenty of shards here, so I have enough to pull 12. If I don't hit a legendary, I might pull 13 to get this legendary book, but you know, hopefully that is not what's going to happen here. But we are looking for pulling some shards, so we have a progressive chance here. I have already picked my champion I want here. Feral, it would be absolutely amazing on this account. I already have Glyciad, so Feral and Glyciad can be very similar, but Feral is a better, he doesn't have the revive that Glyciad has, but he does have a lot of the extra things to keep people alive, and he brings a bunch of extra damage, and he blocks up extra resistance to the entire team. So he is a very good champion. I think actually having both of them would be great because they will probably go and do different Hydra teams as well. Because right now I have Duchess on one of my teams as well, and then I've got Glyciad and I've got Feral. The big problem I'm going to have is that I don't have enough protections for Feral plus Glyciad plus Elva, so I will probably have to start moving some of that stuff around at some point in time. But you know, other than that, you know, that is endgame level problems, not necessarily daily problems most of you guys have to worry about. And as far as the epics are concerned, I've already got a +4 Phoenix. I could care less if I even have an Asilion on my account, but I have 1 +4 Ugo and 1 +2 Ugo, and then I have a third Ugo that is built. I would like 3 +4 Ugos. Not that I really need 3 +4 Ugos for any particular content, but you know what? I already have them built, so I might as well +4 them, so they are as good as any other epic that I might get if I have to pick one of those 3 epics. So I do think this guy's kind of interesting too. I'm tempted to pull for him, and if we grab a Feral, I will shift over to him as my progressive. You know, but my chances of getting a legendary, I'm probably likely to get 1 legendary, if that. Pulling 12 on a non-progressive. I mean, there's actually a decent chance of getting at least 1 legendary, but you know, I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. But you never know. I got lucky on primals earlier, so maybe this account is starting to get lucky again. That would be absolutely amazing, and it's always fun to have new champions to build on an account. So as always, we have our companion Pepsi here with us. Not a sponsor, but they could be. Think of all the money that we could make together, Pepsi. It would be absolutely amazing. Think of all the champions we could bring to people, all the good luck. It would be amazing. So let me move myself and we'll be right back and start pulling. Snorting Thug, not particularly exciting. We're probably going to blow through most of the epics unless they are really good epics. And hopefully we get some really good epics. Never hurts to empower some really good epics. Chancellor Yasmin is not a really good epic, so getting that summon chance up delayed a little bit, but that's fine. That is a Geomancer. There is a good epic for you. Geomancer, the GOAT. He is absolutely amazing. He has been carrying my free-to-play account. He is one I wouldn't mind. I probably do need to empower both of my Geomancers. I've got 2 of them built. I use both of them in various amounts. One of them is speed tuned specifically for the Iron Twins, and so I've been loath to lower him up because I'll probably have to rebuild him slightly because his speed will change once I move him in Iron Twins. But you know what? It's probably time to get a second one to a +4. He is all about this Quicksand Grasp, which puts this burn and the weaken and steals turn meter, and then he will reflect damage, and when he's reflecting damage, he basically has Giant Slayer on that reflect damage as well. So, you know, if you have somebody hits an AoE that hits all 5 of your champions, well, that person takes 30% of the damage reflected back on them, and you actually take less damage as well, which is kind of nice. Plus, you get a chance to reflect a 3% max HP hit per hit at that 30% chance. So it's actually, I'm sorry, it's 15% damage that gets reflected, not 30. But absolutely amazing. But on top of that, he does have an HP, a buff strip that can be a buff steal if he's got HP burn that he placed. And then you've got an AoE, a decreased attack accuracy. Not horrible, not the best, but not bad. He's really good with something like cruelty as well in some things, especially in the Hydra, because he's got that AoE A1 that's very nice. It does make him interesting to use when you have to target specific champions or want to avoid attacking specific heads, for example. But overall, he is an absolutely amazing champion. But, you know, not what this account is looking for. We're looking for legendaries. Let's get something gold. There we go. Ooh, that is a Trunda. She is a Hydra Queen. I do have two of them already, so this will be an empowerment for the first one, because the first one's the one I use. I have a second one I think is mostly built, and I figured I might have wanted her for a double Trunda team, maybe, and I just have never quite invested in her. And honestly, I've not invested in a Trunda team, and it's probably about time I start investing in a Trunda team, because I'm in a place where that would be helpful for my clan. So, what does Trunda do? Well, she does everything. Well, not really, but she has a hard-hitting A1 that can play stun. This stun placement is very good for, well, it's good for a lot of stuff, but it's actually excellent for the for some of the hard faction wars stuff. She's actually really good in hard faction wars too, so I can't complain too much about her. The Cloak of Aegis is one of the better skills that we have in the game, actually. Attacks one enemy, then attacks all others with a second hit, dealing 60% of the damage inflicted from the first hit and ignoring 50% of the target of defense. On the second hit, the skill ignores 50% of the target's defense. This hit is always a normal hit. Well, it's not always a normal hit. It still scales up with some crit damage. This gets some crazy scaling. So what happens is you hit a Hydra head that's decapitated. You then take 60% of that big damage that you do on that Hydra decapitated head, which is already going to be tripled. And then you do it again to everyone else, possibly going again through your crit damage, and then possibly getting more tripling as well. So you can get a double triple effectively from this in there. And that's how you can do millions of damage on a single skill with this particular skill. She also does HP burns and an AoE stun. 5-turn cooldown. Now, that's the one thing that's kind of a saving grace to making her an absolute beast, is this is a 5-turn cooldown skill. It's not a 5-turn cooldown skill. There are better skills for lower. 4 or 3-turn cooldown would be fine with this skill. This is a 4-turn cooldown. Honestly, this is fine on a 4-turn cooldown. So her cooldowns are not great, but for an arena nuker, when she used to be, you didn't care because you'd usually kill people by the time you had to get through this. And if you did care, well, you'd bring a Kymar back in the day. She also increases her own attack for each stun or HP burn debuff placed by the enemies, stacks up to 50% per round. So not only did she have one of the biggest, most damaging abilities in the game, but she can grow her attack by 50% of her total attack over the course of a long fight like Hydra. So she is an absolute beast of a champion. And again, I probably do need to invest in building one for my clan and working on one in Hydra. I've always been kind of loath to do it because it's a manual run. It's a lot of work, but honestly, the rewards from it are pretty good and would certainly help the clan out. So, maybe this is a sign that I need to invest in Trunda. So, hey, we got a legendary, we got a Trunda, we have 7 more to pull. Not 7 more to pull. We have 8 more to pull. All right, let's pull more. Thank you, Pepsi. Mycelic Priest Ornn. I've been disappointed with this dude, but for an early game account, this guy is an absolute beast of a solo champion. Now, he's got a 75%, 80% with Sniper to place poison sensitivity and 2 poisons. The problem is there's only an 80% chance, so he can actually sometimes whiff on all 3 of these, which really kind of sucks. He heals by 1% of his max HP for each poison debuff placed on the skill, so he heals himself, which is part of why you can do some solo stuff. He can activates poisons on this ability. He doesn't get poisons out quite fast enough for me to like to use this. I prefer to shut this off generally, unless it's a boss or other people are putting poisons up there. And then he's got an A1. It's a low chance of poison, 15%, 25% when booked, 30% with Sniper. But whenever a poison debuff is activated on an enemy, increase this champion's HP and defense by 5%, stacks up to 25%. So basically, he becomes even more tanky as you build him, and he's an HP damage dealer in the first place. Not that you're going to build him for damage. So it's a good kit, but because this is not 100%, it's not a great kit. But that's fine. He doesn't need to be amazing. Not every champion needs to be amazing. He is an affinity champion, so, there's that. All right. Halfway there. You can get something else cool. We are going to get a Necro Hunter. The less said about him, the better. Hey, it's my girl Ugo. That is awesome. That is a +3 to my second Ugo. That will be very helpful. That is a Gerhard the Stone. I don't really care for this guy. He's got single target here. He's got increased crit rate and increased crit damage. And then a single target attack. Yep, attacks one enemy. And then he's a passive immune to some stuff. Not horrible. I mean, this is not bad, but it's not 5-turn cooldown, bookable to 3. So he's immune once and then he's not immune anymore. And for double single target attack, not that exciting. Hey, another Ugo. That is a +4 Ugo, so that is awesome. All right, let's no, we'll keep going. I can do 3 more Ugos and then I'm fine. So, all right, we got 3 more shards to pull. Maybe we can get a legendary. Would be absolutely awesome. I would love a feral. We've actually got a pretty good chance of getting feral now. That is an ultimate Galek. Very early on, he can be good for this HP burn. He needs increased attack, unfortunately, so he's kind of stuck for needing figuring that out. But if you need an HP burner early and you can figure out the increased attack, he could be worse. So, he does decent damage overall. That's not a man-eater. That is a Grimskin. He's not bad. Defense-based epic. Can do okay damage. He's got an AoE, chance of removing a buff on each target. He's got a single target provoke, but it'll place on all enemies if the first enemy is placed. So 70% chance to place that provoke, but then has a, 60% chance of placing provoke on everybody else. So, not great, not bad. I've got him on my free-to-play. I've got him kind of built sort of in a... I haven't made him past 4 stars, but I threw some gear on him. He's not been horrible. He's been okay. And decreased speed on the A1. All right, we got 1 left, 1 shard, and a dream. Let's go. Ooh, legendary. That is a Ragash. I love me a Ragash. I got a kitty. I got a kitty. I got a kitty. I don't know how many Ragashes I have. It is more than 2. It might be more than 4. He might be getting empowered soon because I may have enough of him to start making him +2, +3. I don't use my Ragash as much as I probably should. He is an absolute beast of a champion. I love this dude. I had him as my arena nuker for a while. He is a very solid champion. Ragash, increased defense on the A1. So, he's a defense-based champion, so that is great. This actually hits fairly hard. All his multipliers are really good. And so it's a single target defense, but it's an A1. So what do you expect? He has an AoE, decreased defense, and stun, 100% chance when booked, on an absolute nuke. Plus, he does the decreased defense before he attacks, and then does the stun afterwards. Now, this does make him sheep fodder in arena, which is certainly why he's fallen out of favor in the arena. But he is still an absolute beast for wave clear. This AoE stun is absolutely amazing as well. He is really good for faction wars hard, where you need the stun as well. You can build him as a debuffer and just have him go really fast and use this debuff. You can build him as a nuker and just have him absolutely nuke and not even put accuracy on him. Or you can kind of do a hybrid build and do a little bit of both. He's also got a usable A3, 4-turn cooldown, gives you strengthen, increased speed, and a perfect veil on him. The strengthen and increased speed are on all allies, however, making it a very, very good skill. Could be useful in clan boss builds, for example. Now, it's a 4-turn cooldown, which makes this less usable, but, increased speed, great buff, strengthen, great buff, 4-turn cooldown, not bad. It seems a little weird on a nuker, but for a more supporty nuker that has options, makes some sense. He also, at the start of each turn, places a perfect veil buff on the ally with the highest attack. So not only does he veil himself with his A3, he will veil your highest attack champion as well. So you can actually partner him with another attack champion that will get this veil on them, and then basically the 2 of them can strike from a distance. Inflicts 20% more damage against targets whose defense is lower than his champion's defense as well. And that's part of why he can be a really good nuker as well. So doesn't have any built-in ignore defense mechanics, but he can basically increase his own defense, and then does more damage against people whose defense is lower than his. So, that's pretty easy to do, at least in arena. Obviously against wave content, it can be a little harder, but great champion. Good one to end on. Let's go take a look and see how many of these dudes do I have. Stop it. Stop it. All right. Here we go. Skinwalkers. We are Okay, so that is my fifth Ragash. Yeah, I will +1 my current Ragash here, and at some point in time, if I can get another duplicate in here in of somebody else that is not one of these guys, I will probably make my Ragash a +3. So I am going to hold off, and because we do have a champion training coming up, so I'm going to throw some brews in before I do that. But hey, we got 2 legendaries on this account. That was absolutely amazing. Not necessarily legendaries that I needed on this account, but they're 2 empowerments that will actually probably be very helpful. So I am not going to complain. It certainly could have been worse. In fact, it probably was worse. If you haven't had a chance to check out my free-to-play polls. Those were definitely worse. But hey, we're going to be grateful for what we got, and we're going to enjoy the fact that we got some interesting champions. Hopefully your polls were as amazing as mine. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you got over the weekend, if you got anything interesting. Let me know what you're doing towards this fusion, and until the next video, I am Bront CatHerder.